Woo! All right, it looks like we're live. Finally, you're going to notice that I'm actually not doing this with my normal setup because, of course, at the last minute, yeah, my computer isn't working that great right now. So I'm restarting. I'm going to see what happens, try to log in, but right now we'll just keep it this way. So hopefully you guys will join as we continue through this. And don't mind me, I'm going to be screwing around with the computer in the background here just to see what's going on. It's been a while since I've done these, obviously, so it's probably more user error than anything else. But I thought I could get this down right. It's not that difficult, but apparently for me it is. So welcome everybody, all two of you that are here. So we'll wait, and again, we'll get people in hopefully as this progresses, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully, I can get my main computer up and running at some point. That way, we can get this show on the road in a legitimate fashion. It's been a while since we've done a live chat here from New York, but I'm glad to see everyone who is going to be here. Pistol Pete, hello. Scott 79, I am fashionably late. Yes, although I would debate fashionably, sir. But nonetheless, we are here. We're going to talk a little bit about 2022, obviously, and then we're going to talk a little bit about 2023 and what are some of the things we'd like to see. You know, one of the things that I think for me as a channel on YouTube, you know, it's been a kind of a weird, strange year for me because I have not really had a lot of free time like I've had in the past. You know, making videos and reviewing stuff for everybody. So that it's been a little bit of a hassle because, you know, and again, it's a hassle because I don't have the time. But on the other end, it's actually been an enjoyable time because I've been spending a lot of time with my son, who's now a junior in high school. It's hard to imagine when I started this channel, you know, he was a middle schooler. But again, he's pursuing a scholarship. Academically, he's a great student. Athletically, he's a very good athlete. So he's really hoping to land himself at some point a Division I offer to play lacrosse. Again, we have not seen one, so we keep knocking on wood and praying every day that his dream will come true. And I hope it does because the kid has worked so hard. But again, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But again, that's where I've been. So I haven't really done a lot of videos. The past couple of weeks, I've been really trying to, I guess, end the year on the right note by showing some things that I've done. Gun Snob, how are you? Scott 79 again, Pistol Pete. For those of you who are coming in, there's 10 of you right now. So just say hello, and I will say hello back. And we'll go from there. Eric Carmo says 22 already looks way better for us down here in Brazil. Oh, I would say yes. I think that's one of the things that we have to talk about. Obviously, 2022 has been a year of turmoil for just about every single place in the world, especially here. And I think I'm hoping it's going to get a little bit better. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out. You know, gun-wise, it wasn't a really productive year, at least for me, making videos. So I've been, you know, a fan, like all of you, watching a lot of videos of people out there who are much better at it than I am, whether it's through, you know, just their shooting or their reviewing. You know, I know you guys are huge fans of The Honest Outlaw. I watch his channel all the time just because, you know, let's be honest, he gets just about every gun amazingly. It just like every single gun comes his way. And it's pretty cool because, again, he's getting the jump on a lot of other people, which I enjoy because it makes good stuff. But for myself, purchase-wise, I made a lot of purchases here and there. Pistol Pete is asking, are they renewing carry permits in New York okay these days? There really wasn't a problem. I had to renew mine every 5 years, and then they changed the rules. So it wasn't really anything like major, I guess you could say. It was simply just filling out a couple of forms, which, you know, some people might, you know, disagree with. But again, that's the only way to be able to keep yourself legal in the state. I think right now the biggest concern for New York State is obviously, you know, Kathy Hochul and the congressional, well, I shouldn't say Congress, but the assembly that was having the meetings and then creating these new gun laws that unfortunately were kind of restricting our Second Amendment rights only because of the fact now they took away pretty much your carry ability because they outlawed it in every single place, churches, public forums, everything. And so, you know, and then they changed the rules because in the past, it used to have to be where the business would have to state specifically on their doors whether or not they allow or don't allow firearms on their premises. And guess what? They changed that as well at the last minute, basically saying that in order for you to carry in a public place, there has to be a sign on the door allowing for it. So that's kind of the screwed up thinking we have up here. Scott79 says, I did see that some New York judge just declared that the red flag laws are unconstitutional in New York, so that's a move in the right direction. And there's been definitely some different things that I think are working out for us in a lot of different ways. Again, is there any real specific, way to really make this make sense? Probably not. I think a lot of the things we deal with here are a lot of knee-jerk reactions, and they may say that, oh, it looks like, hold on one second, guys. And they may say that from their perspective, they're trying to do the right things. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true, only from the simple fact that, it's right for whom, and it's not necessarily the majority either. A lot of times you're finding that it's just for small segments of people who have certain political motivations that don't necessarily align with a lot of people here, which is kind of interesting because, again, we just had our governor's election here in New York State. And then, of course, when you look at the map and it's all said and done, interestingly enough, what always happens is the map of New York State is a bright red, and then there's only select areas of New York State that are bright blue. And at the end of the day, it winds up being New York City, Rochester, Buffalo, and Albany. And those major cities are the ones that carry the population. So, of course, they're the ones who elect the governor. And unfortunately, it makes everyone else have a bit of a problem. So it's not a good situation. But unfortunately, this is what we're dealing with here, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. I would suspect that at some point, someone is going to wake up because we're bleeding people out of New York State. I mean, everybody's moving out of here. The taxes are too high, the services are too low, and things are not getting any better. It just seems like it's progressively getting worse, which is always an interesting thing. So that's kind of the whole idea of what we're dealing with in New York State. Again, one of the other things I would always say to you guys is that, in regards to a gun channel, it is difficult for us to be able to, really compete with a lot of the other channels because there's so many different things and so many obstacles that you have to deal with when trying to get a new firearm on the channel. It's not automatic. Unfortunately, a lot of times what you're going to find is that when you want to get a new gun, you can't because you have to wait and wait and wait and wait. And it just makes it impossible. And it makes it very frustrating from a gun owner's perspective because, again, most of the people who are owning guns here in New York State, at least the ones that I know, are not criminals. They have no desire to be criminals, and unfortunately, it kind of puts you in a bad position because some people want to look at gun owners as a threat as a whole. Like, let's say, for example, if you have a hobby and it's firearms, you go shooting, you collect, you make reviews of them, whatever it might be, there are going to be some people out there who are going to try to use that and try to picture or paint you into a picture as some form of threat, which is absolutely idiotic when you think about it, because most people who are carrying guns and doing illegal things are not registering these firearms and not following the rules. And I mean, these are basic things that we've talked a million times about on this channel. So, I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to go away anytime soon. But that's the perspective we have here. 2022 gun-wise for me was kind of interesting because there wasn't a lot of stuff that I was really looking at. I wasn't really interested in a lot of things because of the fact that, there wasn't a lot. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, there just wasn't a lot that really made me say, ooh, I've got to have this or I've got to get that. And it was kind of disappointing. I think, obviously, as we get through it, we might see some people who come out with things. Obviously, the DW, what is it, Dan Wesson, DWX, that's coming out, and I know a lot of the more popular channels like Bald and Curious are getting are getting their free ones that they're going to be able to review, which is kind of neat. I obviously am not getting one from Dan Wesson or CZ, so that's not a surprise. But I'm interested in the gun. I'm not interested in the price at all. I mean, again, is that gun going to be the gun that defines all guns for the year? I think it's kind of interesting, and I'm trying to find my little handle here on my chair, but I can't ever find the damn thing to fix it. But I think it's kind of interesting that they released it now because I think, honestly, that Dan Wesson has lost a little bit of its steam of interest. Now, there's going to be people who are going to buy it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I think from the standpoint of someone who likes firearms, yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have it. But I'm not exactly sure it's something that I'm going to sit there and say, okay, I've got to have this like today, or I'm going to buy it right now. I just doesn't make any sense for me to do that. And honestly, I won't do that because it's a little price prohibitive for me. Now, again, I'm sure Bald will chime in and say that I'm cheap, and you're right, I am. I'm very cheap. But at the same time, I think you can experience other firearms that are decent, good quality, and just have fun with them. I mean, I bought that Terra Aerospace Industries gun. You know why? I couldn't tell you. It's not anything special. It was just kind of an oddball firearm, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And was it a decent gun? Yeah, I think some people would really enjoy it. And for $250, I said, why not? I don't think it's a big problem. You know, when you're looking at different firearms, and not necessarily to do the next hot item, but just to have an experience with a gun that you probably wouldn't in any other time or place, because it's not a very desirable firearm by most people's choices. But again, that was one of the reasons why I did it. I did like it. Am I going to keep the gun? No, it doesn't really do much for me regarding any other firearm that I own. And it's kind of interesting because it isn't a bad gun, but it's not a great gun. You know, it's not a horrible gun, but it's not a really good gun that I would, want to sit there and say, wow, I've got to get this gun. But at the same time, it's teach their own. You know, you do whatever you want, you buy whatever you want, and you just have fun doing it. And really, honestly, guys, there's not much else you can really, I think really argue with. I think the key to guns as a whole is to say, okay, what are you interested in now? What do you want to shoot? Why do you want to shoot it? And then Baldy's saying that I'm frugal, and frugal is a good term. I am very frugal, but again, I am a bargain shopper too. I like to say that because some of the guns that I have, guys, I kind of got lucky on some of them. I bought the PDPF. I got that used. It was like in brand new condition. I paid like $400 for the gun, and I love that gun. There were some people when I made the video that said that the PDPF isn't really their cup of tea, and that might be the case. But is it a significantly different trigger pull from the regular PDP? That has yet to be determined. I don't have a regular PDP anymore. I have a PPQ, and I'm going to tell you that it doesn't really feel significantly different between the two. I like the way the PDP feels in my hand better. I just think the way the grip is angled. And again, that might just be my impression, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. But the angle of the grip feels different than the original PDP. And I think that's why I went with it. Big Johnson, how are you, sir? I know it's been forever since we've communicated. That's on me. Just been super ridiculously busy with life as a whole. Another gun that I picked up a P30 SK with the LEM trigger. I love that setup. That's a great setup. I shot it. Didn't shoot it too well. What a surprise. But, we're going to go work on that a little bit as well. And, I still, again, I bought the Taurus. I think was it the G4, that little mini one. I can't even remember what it is, but it's sitting in my safe. Again, that was just to try it out. It's not a horrible gun. Good gun. Not a great gun. Is it something that I'm going to use as my primary carry? Nah, never. But at the same time, is it something that I would say to you is a done deal? No, I think it's doable, but honestly, it's not for me. I mean, it's not a gun that I'd want to use, specifically every day for carry. And that's kind of just how I look at it. So, I think in some cases people are going to have a choice. Oh, look at that. Let me see. Hold on one second. I'm going to mute this mic. Actually, hold on. All right, you guys can hear me, right? So I can't get my camera to work, but I just got my main microphone to work. So I've got to fix this. Give me one second. Let's see. All right, forget it. We're going to get rid of the regular microphone because it's just not working. All right, so anyway, let's see. I'm going to go through some of these comments. All right. Guys, just let me know if you can hear me. I'm not sure because I just put on something else here. All right, you can hear me. Great. All right, so I'm going to look at some of these questions here, and then hopefully, we can get through this. I don't know what's going on my computer. It's saying your browser can't access my devices. Close any other applications that might be using the camera or mic. Well, I'm not using my camera or mic for anything else, unfortunately, so I'm not really sure why that's doing that, but it is. So, oh well, so be it. But I think at the end of the day, let's see. Somebody mentioned the let me see where it's at. Roy Venator said, I like his PX9, the Gen 3. That PX9 is actually a really good gun. I think some people were a little against the gun because they didn't necessarily think it was worth the quality of what they were looking for. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's a bad gun at all. I think it's a really good gun. It shoots great. The magazines are 226 mags. The construction seems to be really well built. It shoots unbelievably good. And you can find those like super cheap. So those are not, necessarily something that you're going to spend an arm and a leg on, but they're very good. I actually love mine. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Let's see. Have I seen the Gerson 2011? I have not seen that pistol, Pete. But Gerson's making some pretty cool guns too. I mean, I think there's some people out there that are catching on to those as well, and they really enjoy the guns. So I think that's pretty sweet. Let's see. And then, of course, we've got, let's see. Big J saying, see if you bought more guns than you have had 4 times before. Actually, the only gun I did this time was that VP9. And I actually have to say that VP9 is great. The 4th time is a charm, apparently, because the VP9 shoots amazingly. I got the grips just the way I want them to be. So it definitely opened my eyes to that gun, and obviously its potential. Watch now. HK will probably redesign it, although I highly doubt it because they don't redesign anything. But we'll see. Let's see. And then, of course, Pistol Pete's chime in. VP9 doesn't mean you're supposed to buy it 9 times. I didn't buy it 9 times, only 4. Okay. Let's see. Do you think the P320 is still safe to shoot? So if you hadn't seen Bald and Curious's video on that, I think he's debunked the myth about its safety. If you haven't checked that video, check it out. It was kind of interesting. He was using primers and demonstrating by hitting it with a dead blow hammer that it doesn't go off unless that trigger is being pulled. So I think that kind of debunks it. I think, again, you're going to have two different sides of this argument that are going to say, yes, they're unsafe, and then the others that say it isn't safe. You're going to have to decide that for yourself. I mean, I have P320s. I have no issues with them. So let's see. Eric is saying the DWX would be better than the CZ, TSO, and TS2. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be it's a cool looking gun. But again, is it based on a 2011 or a 1911? And I think it's mostly a 1911. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really know much about it. Like I said, it's going to be out of my wheelhouse. And I'm suspecting that I'm not going to be getting an opportunity to review it for Dan Wesson. So that's kind of a bummer. What else? Oh, I also, a couple of things I have on the way actually too is going to be, gosh, what do I have? I have a P30 coming in, an LEM as well. I really like the P30s, nice guns. I love the LEM trigger, so I got that one as well. And I also bought at the end of the year, right before we were going to close this out. I won't have it until obviously until January, but I have the Canic Rival coming. I know it's a little bit late, but I wasn't sure I wanted to get the gun. But it's a cool looking gun. It's intriguing to me because Canic is really upping their game, comparatively speaking to a lot of the other polymer firearms on the market. So I think for me, it was kind of a no-brainer, and I'm pretty excited about it. Let's see. Pistol Pete saying it's hard to beat a 1911 trigger. A single action trigger on the TSO or TS2 is pretty damn awesome, though. Big John saying it's a 1911, kind of like a Shadow hybrid. So, and then that's why I'm saying, did they kind of miss the boat on that one? I mean, are they coming to the party a little too late? Because it seems like a lot of these manufacturers are really opting for that 2011 more so than the 1911. Let's see. What is my current EDC? Well, my current EDC right now, it's kind of interesting. I knew somebody was going to ask that question tonight. I've been kind of really set on a couple. I've really narrowed it down to just a few that I'm super comfortable with carrying and shooting and just loving the guns. I've got it down to 2.5 because the newest one is the P10S. I got that little pinky adjustment to it, and the gun's great. I absolutely love it. It shoots dead on. I mean, one of the things you can always say about P10s is their accuracy. While you may not be the most accurate shooter in the world, they increase your accuracy. It's a great gun, super, super easy to shoot. Does in my opinion, everything right on that gun. So I got the P10S. I've been carrying that off and on a little bit. I've also been carrying the PX4 compact carry. That gun is just friggin' awesome. The trigger is unbelievable. It's hard to really, I guess, say it's not that great of a gun. It is really just a solid gun, and that's why I carry it. And then the final one I've been carrying, which I carry a lot actually, is the P365, the Icarus Precision, with the Icarus Precision lower. Again, in my opinion, that has been the best carry gun I've owned in a while. And I'm not saying that to disparage any other gun that I own. It's just, with this SOCOM module that I have, that's the way I've been carrying it lately. The only reason why is I do have the Icarus Precision, their macro module. I love that thing. It's fantastic, but I can't find magazines for it just yet. So I'm kind of out on that. I have one magazine, and and to me, I'd rather carry 3 magazines than one. But I've been carrying that, and I love it. To me, the 365, in my opinion, is still probably one of the best carry guns out there. And for a couple of reasons. I mean, reason number one, super reliable. It's a good firearm. Reason number two is just the modularity of the firearm. I mean, it doesn't matter what you're going to use it for. You can have it for deep concealment. You can change the size of the module, size of the slide, and then make it almost like a full-size gun. Bald Curious is saying the X macro is better and cheaper than the Icarus, and it might be the case. Like I said, each their own. But I'll tell you, man, that macro grip on the Icarus Precision is ridiculous. It's the best one they've ever made, and it carries nicely. I mean, obviously it's been freezing here lately, so it's been a little interesting to carry an ice cold firearm. But nonetheless, those are my 3 carries right now. I've been doing a little outside the waistband carry too. I've got a couple outside waistband holsters. I've got for the PX4. I only have an inside waistband holster for the P10S, and then I also have an outside the waistband for the SIG. So let's see. Ishmael Rivera is asking, can you talk about the Steyr C9A2? I bought that because of you, and I read somewhere you sold it. Okay. So Ishmael, I did sell that gun, and the reason being isn't because it was a terrible gun. I just kind of got sick of Steyr USA as a whole. I had an issue with the trigger where the trigger safety was getting stuck because there was a little burr on the portion of that trigger safety. So I actually just slightly dremeled it off, and it fixed it. But when I had called them and explained to them the situation, they actually wanted me to fix it myself. So I was a little like, are you sure? And they were like, yeah, go ahead, fix it. It'll be fine. And it kind of took away from that I don't know if I could really enjoy a company that tells you to fix your own gun. And, it's unfortunate. And the fact that they offer no real support, no aftermarket stuff, it's kind of a dead end gun. And I'm not saying that again to put it down, because look, if there was tons of holsters for them, night sights, and whatever else you wanted to do with it, I would like to have that option. Some people will say it's good as it is, and it is. It's a perfect gun in a lot of regards. But at the same time, I'd like to have that option, and they do nothing to provide that. And again, they don't have to. It's a lot of their contracts are sold to the Europeans and some smaller Asian countries for military and police. But they don't really see a need to do much, and I think that's been why I've kind of strayed away from it. I mean, I've been looking at the M9A2 again, but I never jumped on it because the prices are ridiculous too. I mean, I was looking at one of the OD Green models, and they wanted like $600. I'm not paying $600 for a Steyr. In my opinion, a Steyr, in order for them to move units and to really become more and more popular, they've got to reduce those prices by at least $150, $200. That gun should be getting sold for $500. That way more and more people get attracted to it, and then it pops as it goes on. So I did wind up selling it. I do miss it every once in a while, but not enough right now to drop the cash on it. Let's see. So Ball and Curious is saying 15 round 365 mags with a 10 round base plate works. That is correct. I do have one of those. That's why I'm only carrying it. I'm not carrying it because I only have one. Let's see. Armored Ghost is saying, thoughts on Beretta and their future direction? Well, I think if they're going to continue to create M9s, no problem. Everybody's going to buy them. They love them. You know, there's a kind of a mixed reaction sometimes with people. The APX, I still think is just it's kind of an interesting gun because it shoots great. It's a nice looking firearm. I had the A2. Not impressed. The finish on it was coming off. I contacted Beretta. It took them about 6 weeks, about almost 6 weeks to get a hold of me. I reached out to their, social media platforms, called them, emailed them, and I never heard anything. And then finally I heard from them, and then they said, oh, send it to us, and then we'll get it back to you in about 16 weeks. So I was like, 16 weeks. So 4 months, you're going to keep that gun because of the finish. And again, to me, that's a QC issue. It's quality control. And I think that's why, for me, Beretta is a no-go. I just can't be bothered with them creating a gun that is a decent gun, but didn't really improve anything from the older one. The only thing that they improved on the older one was, in my opinion, were the slide serrations. Everything else about that gun was the same. Yes, it's got the red dot, but you could have gotten that on the original Beretta RDOs. So did they do anything better to the gun? Not really. The trigger was the same. They put in the competition striker, which you could have bought from Beretta, which I did on my older ones. So I think right now, would I like to see them kind of evolve as a company? Sure. I would love to see a modern version or a newer version of the PX4. To me, that's a gun they should be improving on the grip texturing, maybe change the ergos a little bit. But I would love to see a more modern PX4. I think that would be amazing, but I don't see that happening. Let's see. Did I ever get my, I don't even know what that means, Bald and Curious, so I'm going to skip you. Favorite shotgun maker, Mossberg and Beretta. Go figure. I just badmouthed Beretta and I like them. Beretta makes great shotguns. Everybody knows that. Fantastic high-end shotguns. If you're talking about like a combat shotgun, I'd love to have a Beretta. What is Borelli? That's what I'd like to have, but unfortunately, way too expensive. Let's see. Paul H, what's going on, my buddy? Armored Ghost, do you see firearm prices inflating more or cooling off? I'm actually seeing them cool off a little bit. One of the reasons why I never bought that Canic Rival when they came out was they were asking like $600, sometimes a little bit higher. Benelli. What did I say? Borelli? Benelli. That's right. So I think they're coming down a little bit, but I think it's depending on the models, and I think it's the manufacturers. Like if you look at SIG P229s, 226s, depending on what you're looking at, those prices are super high, and they continue to be super high. Obviously, it could be because of the craftsmanship, the materials being used, but they never seem to come down in price. They seem to really hold their value, and in some cases go up. Like I have the P229 Elite and the titanium blue, fantastic gun. If I put that out right now to sell, probably could sell that for over $1,000 easily. I also have the M11 A1, which is amazing. I have it in that green, and probably could sell that over $1,000. But I think as an overall, like for example, the Canic Rival I bought, I got that for $500, and it's brand new. So I got that at a steal. So I think depending on what you're looking at, some prices are going down, some prices are staying still, and some prices are creeping up, especially the newer models or something that's a little bit less seen as a whole. Bald is saying Caracol. So yes, so the Caracol, another interesting story with this group. So I've been in contact with them for a while. I always send them an email, the general manager of Caracol USA, and we go back and forth. And I spoke to him a few months ago. He said the guns were in testing and that they'd be coming out. And I believe he said like around, I don't know if I want to say this, like Thanksgiving-ish, Christmas. That hasn't happened, obviously. I emailed him a couple of weeks ago, and I have heard nothing. So I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I'm going to suspect it's probably bad if I have not heard anything. So it's disappointing because I still had hopes that gun would pan out. Maybe in the first quarter of the new year we'll see it come out, but I haven't heard anything, and I'm kind of ticked off about it because there's a lot of broken promises if that gun doesn't come out. Let's see. ND Irish is saying, oh, actually, Pistol Pete, you said you ever check out IFG 10 Foglio? They make some good inexpensive CZ clones. I have looked at them. again, one of the things that if I'm going to carry a hammer fired gun, I want to have a decocker on it. Me personally, I'm just not a safety guy. I'm not, and that's the way I kind of roll. So sorry. NDR, so what does everyone think of the CZ Scorpion Evo for 850 at PSA? So again, you guys can chime in on that one. Ishmael saying it's understandable what you said about Steyr. And yeah, it's unfortunate, man. I love Steyr. I love their firearms, but I hate the company. And I think that's why nobody buys them, to be honest with you. Armored Ghost, are you a fan of Springfield? Yeah, I mean, I like their 1911s. I think Springfield makes decent 1911s. Not so much of the XD fan or the XDMs or any of that stuff. I just think like you're looking at a gun that hasn't evolved. In my opinion, Springfield's mindset is a lot like Glock's mindset because they don't feel like they need to really advance the design of the gun. And so you have kind of this blocky slide. It's a little bit higher in your hand. I mean, it would just be nice to see some changes. I don't like the grip safety. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's necessary. But they continue to do that. Look, would it be my first choice? No. Would I get one if it was really cheap? Yeah. But to be honest with you, the PX9 from oh God, what's the name of the company? I can't even remember. Tishus, the PX9. In my opinion, is a clone of that gun. And right now, somebody was telling me the other day that you can get it for like $250 online. So I mean, that's a steal because it's optic capable. You don't need a mounting plate for it if it's an RMR cut. It's just a great gun. The trigger's amazing. The fit and finish is good. I mean, the texturing is kind of crummy, but other than that, it's kind of a no frills firearm, but it does really, really well. Let's see. Ishmael, what do you know about SHOT Show? Anything interesting? No. I'm not that influential in the gun community. I don't get those little tidbits of information. I get them just like you guys get them by looking it up online. I don't have really those kind of contacts. Maybe one day, but I doubt it because I haven't sold my soul. So let's see. Yeah, Tanfo doesn't do decockers. I think at one time they did make a few models that had them, but it was a long time ago, and then they stopped making them. Probably to save costs, cut costs. Let's see. All right, so Bald's got his media badge for the SHOT Show 2022, but don't think he's going. Is it in Vegas again? I don't even know. I wish they'd move it out of Vegas because I have no desire to go there, but that's teach their own, right? Let's see. Big Johnson, smash that thumbs up, people. Yeah, do that. That would be great. Let's see if we can get at least 1 million thumbs up. I know that's not possible with 21 people in the room, but nonetheless, I do appreciate everyone who stopped by tonight because, again, it's been a long time since I've been able to do this, and I do appreciate everybody, sticking by and listening to what I have to talk about. One of the other guns that I picked up was a PPQ. I'm going to do a comparison between the PPQ and the PDP-F. Interestingly enough, the PPQ, I still shoot great. I love that gun. There's just something about the gun that never gets old. The trigger on it's the Apex trigger on it's just fantastic. Ergonomics are great. I mean, just so much good about that gun as a whole that it's hard to pass up. And again, I got it used online, paid very little for it. Came with night sights, came with the Apex trigger and a tin barrel. So it's pretty nice. And would I say that it's the best choice right now? Probably not. I mean, the PDP-F I think is a little bit better for certain reasons. But I think, overall, it's still a good gun, still competitive. And one of the things I said mistakenly on that video was that the mags are not compatible. I've been corrected by that 8,000 times, and they are compatible with the PPQ. The only thing I haven't been able to do is take the PDP-F slide and put it on the PPQ. It doesn't seem to accept it for some reason. So I'm going to play with that a little bit and see what happens. Let's see. Bald gave me a thumbs down for budget guns. No problem. A thumbs down is as good as a thumbs up. So if everybody wants to give me 1 million thumbs down, go for it. That'd be sweet. Armored Ghost. Do I like any 380 guns? Boy. I mean, I like guns as a whole, so I wouldn't say no. But do I see it being as something that would work for me? Not necessarily. I think for some people it's a great option. People who are recoil sensitive, people who are maybe a little bit older or a little bit less strong in their hands and wrists. I think a 380 would work. For me, I still can shoot 9mm pretty well. You know, are there some out there that I like? Well, to be honest with you, I like the SIG P3. What is it? I don't know. This is a P365 380 or something. I don't even know what it's called. But I do like that because it's a good platform. I have the 365 and 9mm. So if I was going to go with the 380, I'd probably go with that just because I have the same platform and I really like the platform. So it would make sense for me to then go spend that money on doing something like that. So I mean, overall, that's kind of the general way I would go. And let me just see something here. But yeah, that's one of the 380s I'd go with. You know, they have the new Ruger one that looks pretty cool. But I think, you know, honestly, it's kind of funny because the companies that are putting out the new 380s, I feel like a lot of times what they're showing you is just a lot of like cool fancy features, you know, things that you don't necessarily need, you know. It's a 380. Do you really need lightning cuts on a slide for a 380? You know, I don't know. Like it's kind of stupid in my opinion. It's a friggin' 380, and you're gonna jazz it up. Why? You know, I don't know if it's necessary. But again, that's just my opinion. If that's worth anything. Andy Irish, not sure if you mentioned earlier in the live stream, but anything more on the rifle front. In what regards, sir? Just tell me what you're asking, a little more specific, and I'll do my best to answer for you. So, you know, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything really outstanding this year. I mean, you know, like I said, for me, it's been an interesting ride this year because I haven't really done much. I haven't made many videos, haven't gone shooting a heck of a lot. But I am going to start up again. You know, I have a couple of days here and there where I can get out to the range, so I'll do that. But again, I'm going to be super busy in 2023. This is my son's junior year of high school. So this is the year, you know, this is the year where pretty much everything is going to count for him. So we've got to make sure I'm there for him and doing what I need to do. And again, the gun thing can wait. At some point, it'll all work itself out, I guess. So let's see if anybody else has got anything. Yeah, and again, I apologize for having to do this on my cell phone. It kind of sucks, but you know, my camera's not working. You were building and didn't know if you were venturing into other calibers. So I did build 4 AR-15s. I built a 5.56 223 from Wilson Combat. I bought and built 3 more. I have 2 300 blackouts, and I have 1 223 wild. So that's what I have. Those are the calibers I have. So it's not a huge differentiation between 5.56 and 223 wild, obviously. But the 300 blackout is pretty interesting. And, you know, I don't think I'm going to be building anymore. I think I've done enough. You know, there's only so many things you can build and shoot at the same time. So I've kind of stopped building right now. I would say that I built 1 that was Wilson Combat upper and lower and their barrel. And then I built another one that used the Stag Arms lefty upper and lower, which is kind of cool because that's what I was looking for. Because I'm a lefty rifle shooter. And then I built 2 Aero Precision rifles as well. And I would tell you that my least favorite of all 4 of them is actually that Wilson Combat rifle. I don't know why. It just, you know, I think it was because it was my first build, so I didn't really know much going into it. And then as I built the other 3, I was able to kind of change some things and do some things that really were a little bit more usable for me, especially the lefty setup. It's fantastic. 300 blackout suppressed. Unfortunately, no, sir. Not suppressed. We are not allowed to own suppressors in New York State because they somehow make the gun more dangerous. So no, that's not possible, unfortunately. But if you have a fixed magazine, you can keep every evil part that you want, which is really, you know, interesting as a whole. Let's see. Yeah, it keeps saying that my camera is trying to, I don't know, maybe, who knows? I'm so disappointed that I had to do this on my cell phone, guys. Again, I'm so sorry for that because I would like to have done this in the more professional mode, but unfortunately, it didn't want to work out that way. But yeah, just keep asking questions, guys. Again, I appreciate everybody who's on here. We've got 18 people in the room. So it's a little small, but that's okay. Like I said, we haven't been here in a while, and I didn't expect to have a big turnout, especially on a Friday. So Portable, hello, sir, or ma'am, don't really know, but hello to you. Again, like I said, if you're just getting in here, I had to use my cell phone to conduct this because my other stuff has unfortunately taken a huge, ginormous poop. which is very disappointing. I'm just not sure why. Because I can pull up my camera right here and it comes right up, no problems. But when I try to do it on StreamYard, I can't do it. Go figure. And Pistol Pete saying it looks good for a cell phone. Well, thank you, Pistol Pete. I appreciate that. Big Johnson, have a good new year. And we'll talk at some point, sir. All right. So I think for 2023, one of the things I mentioned in the video I made the other day was that I'm really going to start focusing on shooting the red dots. Obviously, I know there are going to be some obstacles for me personally as a shooter. Obviously, you guys know if you stuck with the channel for this long, one of the things I would say is, and I just read Rabbi's comment. I'm not even going to reread it. Funny guy. But one of the things that I would say is that I really want to start getting a little bit better with these red dots. And one of the things I would say is that I got a roadblock, man. I got those handshakes. So it's going to make it interesting. Now, when I pull the gun out and I extend out, there is a tremor in the hand. It's not horrible, but it's definitely going to affect the placement. Do I think it's going to affect it greatly? Honestly, I don't, because one of the things I've been practicing, at least in the house, is bringing it up and presenting it up to my eyes and not looking for specifically those irons, but just trying to bring it up, aligning with my eyes so that when I bring it up, the dot, or in this case, the circle, will go to the target that I'm aiming at. And that's what I've been working on doing. So I'm looking at that, and I'm interested in doing it and seeing how I do. I'm pretty sure at some point I'll get frustrated and probably throw the gun down the range, but we're going to see how it goes. So that's what I'm going to focus on, at least for 23. And like I said, I have three primaries that I'm going to do it with: the PDPF, the MR920, and the SIG P365, if I ever want to pay the money to buy a 507K. Again, I want to use it for the either circle dot or the circle, and that's what I'm going to do at some point. That's where I've got to buy one, but I felt like I wasn't very proficient with dots in the first place, so why spend the extra cash right now when I don't have to? Let's see. What's my carry ammo? Whatever's on sale. HST is good. Really just anything that I can find at a decent price and a decent manufacturer. I'm not one of those guys who cares about necessarily the carry ammo. Let's see. Bald is calling me a shill because I'm wearing a Icarus hoodie. You know what? I like this hoodie. It's very warm, and I enjoy wearing it. And for those of you out there who want to go buy an Icarus Precision module, go to their website and pick one up. I get nothing back for it, by the way. But they make great stuff, and I love it. Let's see. Favorite gun storage makers. It's interesting because I don't have the greatest safe. I'm not one of these people that has to go out and buy a $40,000 safe to feel like my guns are safe. I don't live in a high crime neighborhood, and I would find that most people around here might not have an idea of how to get into it or find it, to be honest with you. One of the things I did put in the safe that I have in there now is I forget what it's called, but it's those louvers, like those louver panels, and I forget what it's called, but I've been doing that, kind of reapplying it to my safe to make it a little bit more usable for the room that I have. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. From 3 to 15 yards shouldn't be an issue with hitting the A zone. And that was something I was thinking about, Irish, regarding a lot of people who want to, talk garbage about the fact that my hands shake, is that, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to have a 1/4 inch group. I'm not. It's just not going to happen. And I think it's kind of ridiculous for people to say you have to shoot like that in order to be proficient if you have to engage, because that's not realistic. For example, a human being is not a 1/4 inch wide. As a matter of fact, most Americans are more than 3 feet wide. And so I look at it from the standpoint that if you've got to place it somewhere, as long as you're within, I would say maybe a 1.5 to 2 foot width, you're going to be fine. And again, that's my opinion. I'm not an expert, but you guys should chime in and tell me what you think about that. Because let's be honest, people aren't that small. So it's not necessarily needing to be pinpoint like that. Hit some soft areas, you're going to be just fine. Let's see. Rabbi saying he's using the Pink Lady defensive ammo. He's transitioning to 22 long rifle. I am. 22 long rifle has a lot of kick for me, so I've got to take it slow. You're absolutely right. Way too much recoil. Bridges, P10 or VP9 for general purpose? Boy, that's a good question. Man, they're both really good, solid guns. I think for me, I really like the VP9, but I really love the P10. And the reason being is going to sound kind of crazy, but the P10's trigger, I feel, is a little bit better than the VP9. And also, the finger position on the trigger of a P10 feels a lot better than the VP9, because the VP9, when I go to pull the trigger, my finger pad, or the pad of my finger, kind of sweeps the bottom of the trigger guard. So I would go with the P10 in my opinion. So Bald and Curious is going on everything that's illegal and claiming that weed is legal, which is true. Go figure. Let's see. Mark Sweetser is saying P10 is the best of the P10S. You know, honestly, I got the P10S again, and I might agree with you that the P10S is in my opinion, maybe a better gun. Yes, you're losing the barrel length and all that other stuff, but it is a better fit in a carry than I think the P10C. P10C is a little bit longer. It's a little bit bigger. The P10S, I think, is kind of the Goldilocks of the three. Let's see. So volunteers are talking about my chins now. This guy is talking about my chins. Look, listen, I'll tell you right now. Here, I'll do it like this if this makes sense. Doesn't that make my face look a lot slimmer, right? So no offense, Bald and Curious, but you should not be talking about double chins, because I believe you might have a triple, just so you know. Let's see. Pistol Pete saying, good Lord. Listen, Pistol Pete, Bald and Curious has some problem called envy, so I just take it with a grain of salt. Let's see. Bridges, I think I got to agree with you on the P10. It's just one of those guns that feels right. I can come back to a P10C years after handling it, and it amazes me overall with the feel. It is. It's ergonomically, it's really good. I mean, it's a low profile gun. I think it's really just an overall solid build and buy. And I think with all of the, the corrections they've made because of the first generation versus the newer generations, I think it's added to the kind of just to the mythos of the gun. It's a really good gun. P30SK is great too. I have a P30SK. I got the P30SK LEM trigger, and I love that setup. It's a little chunky, but it's definitely shootable and definitely doable. Let's see. Clint Buckaloo is saying P10 subcompact for $349 with rebate if you look around. Oh, that's right. They do have a rebate. I totally forgot about that. I never submitted mine. Jeez, thank you for letting me know. Bald is now asking me for a push-up challenge. Okay. Only if there's a bowl of spaghetti in front of your face. Rabbi, are any privately manufactured firearms legal in New York State? Privately manufactured firearms? I do not believe so. They're going to have a serial number, obviously. Armored Ghost, any preferred flashlight brands? People will say Streamlight. Me personally, I don't have a light on any of my guns. I don't know. Some people are stuck with that idea that you got to have one. Could you carry a flashlight that way? Manual? Sure, you could do that. But I think whatever your budget can afford, that's what you go with. Some people are going to not go light because it's made in China. What isn't made in China? I mean, all you guys running your Holosuns, guess what? It's made in China. So I think you go with whatever you like, and whatever you can afford. Let's see. Scott is saying he's got one of the Green P01s on layaway. Great choice. Where's everyone finding P10C optics ready? I actually found one at my local gun store, and I have it on layaway because those are rare, man. You can't find them. You can't find the P10Ss anymore, with the optics. Although I don't even know if I'd want one on that particular firearm, just due to the short slide and everything. But to each their own. Let's see. Rabbi saying Phoenix is a good brand. He's calling Bald and Curious a Chinese agent, as Bald and Curious is shilling for Olight right now. Like I said, I think it's up to you. You buy what you can afford and you do the best you can with it. I think there's good choices out there. I mean, some are going to be more expensive than others. I have a couple of Olights laying around somewhere. I don't even know what I did with them. I think I have one back behind me. And, they're not disappointing. I mean, they're bright as heck and they'll do their job. It's just a matter if you can get past the manufacturer. And some people can't, which is fine. So we're going to stay on a little bit more, just because I started a little bit late due to the the technical issues I was having today. So you can see
Yeah,
that's my
yeah.
other night. There, I just can't get an image. It's so weird. So yeah, I mean, it's you know, I think at the end of the day, like I said, the gun markets are changing a little bit this year. I'm going to be interested to see if there's any big things coming out for 23. I haven't really heard much or I haven't read much about anything. I'd like to see more lever actions coming out. Like if I could pick something, it's been very difficult to find any lever actions right now that aren't $1,000 and up, which is a shame. I'd like to see Marlin kind of start pushing more out because they've kind of disappeared since Ruger took them over. Let's see. Pistol Pete has an Olight in his pocket. Still hate their marketing. I agree with that. Oh, Rabbi is in definitely a very good mood tonight. Rabbi saying he would like more hunting rifles in the $1,300 range. Hunting rifles in a modern way. What do you mean by that? Scott is asking, have I ordered my DWX yet? No, I have not. I don't even know. I wouldn't want the full size. I'd want to get the compact. But I guess the prices are the same on both. I mean, what are they, like $2,000? I mean, that's, I mean, if I'm going to spend $2,000, it's not going to be on a DWX. It's just not. I would try to find a staccato. That's what I'd probably try to find. So yeah, I probably won't be getting one of those. I think I would rather, pay the money to get a staccato that is just, just a great gun. But honestly, there's some other good choices out there. Bull Armory makes some great stuff. I've been trying to get my hands on one from them, but unfortunately, they don't have 10-round mags. What a surprise! And we have to have that. Rabbi saying he meant bolt actions with better actions, but with wood stocks and fluted barrels. Gotcha. Yeah, like a smoother action, a lot easier. That would be good. Yeah. But it's interesting. I'm not sure. Like I think in the past year or so, you've seen obvious trends. With the marketing of optic ready firearms. Then of course you're talking about the micro compacts that are kind of disappearing slowly and moving gradually to bigger, slimmer compacts, I guess would be the way to say it. Because when you look at the 365, how that whole thing evolved was it had to be super tiny. Then all these other guns followed suit with like the Hellcat and all that other stuff. And now you're seeing the 365 kind of bouncing back, going to almost like a full-size gun in a very streamlined, slim package. Do I see that continuing? I would think so. I mean, I think that's a great thing. I mean, the macro is a great gun. I don't have one. I have the Icarus module, but I love it. I mean, it's just great. It is a full-size gun in a slim package. And then Scott saying spend a couple of hundred less and get a Shadow 2. And I think that's true, but I think also that the big deal with the DWX is the fact that you're getting that 1911 trigger. That's something that you can't accomplish with a Shadow, maybe with a TS2 or something like that, but definitely not much. And then Bald is saying, Bull Armory or Staccato is too much of a gun for you. Your brain would try to calculate how many cheap guns you can get for the same price. Yeah, probably. I'd say for this one gun, I could buy, 4 other guns. So we're not allowed to say OLED anymore. Rabbi is taking over. So Ishmael is saying, you just followed the channel or just starting to follow the channel. What's the deal with the red dots? Again, I think it's going to depend who you ask. I mean, there are some people, and again, rightfully so, there are some people who are saying that it just makes target acquisition quicker, accuracy better. It's just a training of getting used to pointing and shooting through the optic to the target. Then there are some old school people saying it's just another technology gimmick that can break down and not work at the moment you're going to need it the most. Why put yourself in that position? For me, I'm not sold on optics. I'm just not. Like I said, I'm going to try to invest some time in it in 2023 just to see if I can, become more proficient with it, with the hopes that I can. And we'll see. At the end of it, if I feel like it is absolutely worth it, then I'll tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie to you and say, hey, this is the best thing. And it's not. I'm going to tell you this is good or not. I'm hoping it will be. But again, time's going to tell. Let's see. Scott 79 saying you should be able to get as nice of a trigger with a single action shadow. And that's true too. I'm not sure if that reset is possible though with a shadow as it would be for like that 1911 feel. Plus the flat face, the extreme, the exact horizontal pull on the trigger. I'm sure there's definitely, differences regarding that people will probably go towards. Yeah, so Bald and Curious is still shilling for Olight right now. Go figure. So again, we have 26 people in the room. Thank you guys for joining tonight. We'll be on a little longer due to our technical glitches that I have not been able to fix. You guys are getting a great view of my apparent double chin that Bald and Curious brought up due to the camera angle. So yeah, I guess it is true. You put on like 20 pounds in the camera, but if it makes you happy, I could do this. I could put the camera like that, so I'm looking up at you, and you notice that the double chin is gone. So Bald and Curious is a big bully from where is he? I think he's from. Where is he from? Lithuania, something like that. I don't know. Some country that's not real. Pistol Pete saying Dan Weston makes a really nice 1911 trigger. I bet the DWX shoots awesome. Oh, I'm sure. The thing's it's got to weigh like 3.5, maybe 4 pounds. So you figure that it's going to be accurate as heck. The trigger pull is going to be smooth as grease. Probably going maybe 2.5 pound trigger pull. So it's going to be an amazing gun, I'm sure. Do you like the TrueGlow TFO fiber optic tritium sights? I am not a huge fan of those at all. I'm not a fan of them. One of the things that let me put it this way. I don't think you need a fiber optic anymore because a lot of the manufacturers are putting a very bright high-vis front dot and then putting the tritium insert in the middle of it. So I think it alleviates the need for a bright fiber optic because when you bring that up to your eye, it's super bright. So I don't think it's necessary anymore. Again, some people disagree and that's fine. But I think for me personally, I like having the high-vis front with the tritium insert for low light shooting. As a matter of fact, I bought a Meprolite, I forget what it's called, Hyper Brights. They're actually pretty good. And I actually got some new sights. I think I can show this to you because it's not a gun. But I actually got some new sights from Angry Bear Arms. This is gonna be like probably my first review of the new year, and I'll kind of hold that up to my cell phone. But they actually reached out and they asked me if I wanted to do a review on their sights. And I had never heard of this company, so I said, sure, why the hell not? So they actually sent me one for the SIG 365 because eventually I'll get a 507K for that. And they also sent me one for the PDP-F. And I'm going to tell you, man, these sights are no joke. These are excellent sights, well built, bright front light, like that light yellowish green color, and the tritium is very bright. So yeah, it's going to be a positive review because it's a great sight. So I was pretty excited that they sent that to me. Let's see. Bald is saying I put on at least 20 pounds. Probably. He's from Transylvania. That's right. I believe they call him, isn't it Vlad? They call him Vlad and Curious. A rabbi saying I like them, but he's got a point. Factory sites have gotten very good. And then Scott saying, nah, just a country that no longer exists. Let's see. Scott is saying there's only 3 companies that actually make the tritium vials, and that's true too. Like as a matter of fact, I'm going to do when I do this review. One of these sites remind me of another company, but I'm not going to tell you exactly who yet. I'll do it for the video. But the color of the site and everything looks identical to what I've seen from this other company. It's kind of interesting. But again, same thing with the Meprolites. The Meprolite green is identical to the SIG X-ray sites. So again, it's a stamp for a company, and it's all manufactured probably in the same factories. So apparently, Bald and Curious is saying other sites are absolute. I believe you meant obsolete, but we'll take that. Irish is saying he agrees on price of the levers. Marlin 1895 SPLs are running 18 to 2,000, and that's ridiculous. Like, no way. I would never pay that for a lever. Now, if you had the Black Series, those are awesome. Those, in my opinion, are worth $1,800. Rabbi saying Mepro is made in Israel. They make good sights, like them. Let's see. And then Bald and Curious is saying potato and potato. Oh, Baldy. Somebody loves you out there. So yeah, I mean, like I said, for the year 2023, we're going to see what happens. We're going to see how gun laws change. Hopefully, some things that are a little bit more favorable to the community would be great. I think overall, what's going to happen is we'll probably see some very unfavorable things happen, or at least the attempt to. And we'll see. I think it's going to be an interesting year for firearms. I'd be more interested just to see what people are going to be coming out with. I think one of the things that's been really quiet lately, which I would say is eerily quiet, is Glock, man. I saw, what is it, TFB the other day. James did a review on the Glock, what is it, the 46, I think, or something like that. And it was kind of funny because I think he's a funny guy. I do. I don't know him personally, but he's a funny dude. And he was, he's basically calling himself a Glock shill, and he is. Everybody knows it. And I just thought it was hilarious because he was making it like it was such an amazing gun because you're getting the long slide, which you can take off and put on a Glock 19. And I'm just saying, but at the end of the day, it's still the same Glock. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again. And honestly, I'm so over Glock. Glock is good. They're efficient. They're effective. But for the prices for Glocks, there's absolutely no point in buying one. I have my MR920. That is the only Glock-like clone, I guess you could call it. But even though it's not, it's better that I have. I will not buy any Glock unless they do something much more brilliant with the design. Did Glock ever release their AR? No, they did not. Glock 47. Maybe it was a 47. That's right. It's got to be a 47. So Glock 47. And that was the one that was, I think, going to be used by, I think it was federal agents. I can't remember. But again, like, you look at the gun, there's nothing great about it. It's just not. It's the same old stuff that Glock puts out every year, all the time. And that's kind of a bummer. So Ball & Cure saying the MR920 is legit. Just wish the grip would be 1/4 inch longer. Why don't you go and get the, what is it? What is the CR920 or something? That's the one that's like the 19X. That would work for you. What do you think of the Strike Industry chassis system for the P320s? I don't know. I've never seen it. I'm going to look it up now. I'm going to look it up right now. Hopefully my computer doesn't blow up. Let's see. Strike Industries. Forget it. I'm not going to look it up now, but I'll look it up later. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that is. Let's see. Rabbi's calling you out on your big hand or your fat hand. He says you have a fat hand. So we're going to shut it down in about 15 minutes. I'll stay on until 9:30, and I'll just keep taking questions from you. One of the things I would say, and I'm going to plug a couple of things right now. So if you guys are looking for lock grips, if you put in the code 1776 at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount, which is, I like it. I think that's a great discount. I don't really think I get anything from that, to be honest with you guys. But I kind of like pushing their stuff because I'll tell you, the one company that has never once told me no has been Lock Grips. They're amazing to work with. I email them and they say, absolutely, we'll send something out to you. They sent me out the brass components to the PDPF. And eventually, once I do a real full through with that firearm, I'm going to show all those goodies off. It really does add something to the gun, especially with the weight on the grip. It's phenomenal, in my opinion. They make great stuff. I love Lock Grips. So check them out. Let's see. All right. So again, we'll just keep taking questions. I'm going to say that for me, 2022, my favorite gun that I picked up so far, it's got to be the SIG P, or not the SIG P3, but the SIGs that I bought, which were the M11 A1 and then the 229 Elite. Just because they're just kind of those rare firearms that you don't find too often, based on the color and stuff. So those would be my two favorites for the year. Let's see. Pistol is asking, I know you've tried a lot of holsters. What holster are you using these days? Well, for inside the waistband, I'm still using Black Arch. Black Arch holsters, my favorite inside the waistband holsters. bar none. Most comfortable for me with my body type. Apparently and allegedly, according to Bald, I put on 20 pounds, so it definitely helps more. Outside the waistband, I've been using, what is it, upper hand holsters, I think it's called. And I've gotten a few of theirs. I actually found a real cheapie outside waistband on eBay, and it's just as good. But the upper hand holsters are very good too. I have one for the PX4 Storm, the compact carry, and then I also have one for the VP9, and they're perfect. So those are the two that I've been sticking with. Let's see, Scott. They wouldn't make a set of grips even if I sent the ones off my Rock Island to 2011. I think it's all about what they're going to market and what the big selling is going to be. I think a lot of times there's that, and then there's also maybe proprietary things that are involved from certain companies, that type of stuff. One of the things that's always shocked me with Glock is that they make no grips for the P229s or 226s. That would be great. I wish they would, but they unfortunately do not. Let's see. Scott saying he bought a 40 cal P226 trade-in. Yeah, I mean, there's some good bargains out there on those. I was looking at a Mark 25. I really would like to get one of those at some point. But again, I think those prices are still going up. Let's see. Rabbi has changed the channel name, 1775. What were your thoughts on that fancy SIG X5? Evidently, it's been in Europe for over a decade. Really? The X5, that's the 226, correct? Is that the one you're talking about, the newest one they came out with? Bald is asking, do I carry appendix yet? I actually was carrying appendix the other day for the first time in a long time. I was carrying the 365 appendix, and it was fine. It wasn't uncomfortable or anything. I just, I don't know. It's probably more just not, I got to get used to it. It's not my favorite, to be honest with you. Rabbi saying I can chin carry. That's funny. Mike is asking USP 45 or P229 Elite. Oh, man. I like the P229s, man. All day, every day. Have I seen it all metal Canic? Yeah, right? Because they're kind of, I don't know, have I? I think I have. I think I've seen it. They make almost like a CZ kind of clone. Pistol Pete, new X5 USA model is pretty awesome. For the money, though, I'd go TS2 or DWX. I will say that the X5, the 226 X5, that thing is very, very pretty. It's just a beautiful looking firearm. Again, price prohibitive for most people, but I would buy it. I mean, I would. Ishmael saying, what more could you expect from Glock? Honest question. Extended beaver tail, better trigger, maybe improved ergonomics on the grip, thinner grip, a better set of serrations on the rear and front of the slide. I think that's about it. It's about everything. Finawat is asking, are we over Caracol and Steyr? We are officially over Steyr. Caracol, I'm just kind of getting over it. The last conversation I had was, oh, it's going to be out. It's going to be out. We're going to hook you up. We've actually just tested your gun, and then it's gone silent as always. So I don't know. I like I said, I'll try to be the optimist and say, you know what, at some point it'll work and it'll get here. But I am done with Steyr only because Steyr USA is terrible. The gun is lovely. Ergonomics are best. The best of any gun that I've ever owned is a Steyr. And I just wish they do more marketing and gear it more for people, the consumers. Scott 79, I want the rotating barrel Glock. Yeah, I mean that would be interesting only because again, that's a different mechanism. It's not the same old, same old. And I mean the PX4 barrel is great. I know some people have said when it gets grimy and dirty, it's going to seize up. But I don't throw it in mud and play in dirt. So, I don't know if it'll happen for me. Yeah, Ishmael, I mean, it is a sad thing, but it's not the end of the world. Like I said, it's a good gun. If you have one, keep it. It's going to be reliable. I've never had any issues with my Steyrs. I've owned the old S9, M9, the L9, the C9, the C9A2. I had the L9A2 to test for Steyr. I never had the M9. And I love the guns. I do. I absolutely love the guns. But I just don't love the fact that you can't find a damn holster for it. So if you want to carry it, good luck. You can't really find effective night sights for it by many manufacturers because nobody makes it for that gun because nobody buys the gun. And God forbid something goes wrong, they'll probably tell you what they told me, and that's to go fix it yourself. So, I think overall it could be a great gun, and it is a great gun in a lot of ways. But there's always that idea in the back of your head that if something goes wrong, you're not going to have any support for it, which is unfortunate. So Bald is saying the Canik SFX Rival All Metal. I have not seen it, but I will be looking at that as well. Rabbi is saying, I remember 3 years ago when people were going crazy over the TFX, and I didn't think it was anything special regardless of price. Glock should try a PCC. I don't know, man. Is a PCC really relevant anymore? I mean, I guess for some people it is, but I just don't. I don't know. Like you could build an AR pistol, that has a more potent round to it than a PCC. But again, that's me. Let's see. Irish saying his local holster guy takes care of that issue. And so let me ask you this, Irish. Could you tell us who your local holster guy is so that maybe we can push them and at least get some people out there who have those Steyrs that can help them out? And then Scott 79 is considering having his SPO1 built up to shadow spec. That'd be cool. And then Rabbi saying AR pistols are a thing of the past. SBRs are now. Pistol Pete saying, send it over to CZ, Scott. Get that thing done. Make it better than a Shadow 2. Make it a Shadow 3. Now, if I was going to look at any guns this year, 2023, that have piqued my interest, if this Canik All Metal that Bald and Curious is telling us about is real, that's piqued my interest. I will tell you that the Smith & Wesson M&P Metal Series, man, I was able to dry fire and play around with it in my local gun shop, and I wasn't very impressed with it. I mean, I like it. It's nice. But I'll tell you, man, it wasn't as good as I thought it would be. And so I was a little disappointed on that. Now, they came out with the competitor one, which has got the 5-inch barrel, and it looks kind of weird in the front. But that's kind of piqued my interest, too, a little bit. So that might be something I'd look into. And I think it's under $1,000. So... and I would assume that price will go down as the year progresses. What do I think of the 509cc Edge? Well, I am not a 509 fan. I know Bald and Curious bought one, and apparently the site fell out because, that's what happens when you buy high-priced guns. The quality is amazing. So I personally am not an FN fan. I've had them and I've owned them, but, I think they're overpriced for what they offer. Let's see, everything 1774 owns only has 10s. That's like having a Nerf Gatling gun, but only 3 foam darts. Let's see, Canik will be over your budget, 900 for a stainless steel model. That's like cheap guns for you. That's like 3 cheap guns for you. Listen, you can mock it all you want, but like I said, that FN you bought didn't work out too great for you. 10 rounds, sorry, my side has gone to hell. Can't proof my typing. That's sad. You should get glasses. Try it. All right, guys, so we're gonna head out here in about 5 minutes. So again, ask those questions, and hopefully we'll close this off on a positive note. I do appreciate everybody who came out tonight and listened and gave some input onto their opinions with some of the questions we had. So that's always great, and I always appreciate that. And hopefully in 2023, we'll do some more of these. We may have to do them on the cell phone because I'm not springing for a new computer, but we'll see. We'll see how that is. Let's see. Roy Venator saying the PX9 for the win. Look, I'm telling you, if they made that in a compact gun, that'd be pretty cool because that gun is I know Bald and Curious. It's a little bit beneath Bald and Curious, but if he would remove himself from the whole bougie thing with firearms, he'd realize that that gun is actually a very good gun. As a matter of fact, Bald and Curious, I would challenge you to pay $250 and go get yourself one of those PX9s, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's actually very good. It's good to see you back, Rabbi. You too, Irish. Happy New Year. Yeah, and then Pistols Pete saying he's just hoping Colt doesn't mess up Dan Weston or CZ. Well, doesn't CZ own Colt? So I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's, if anything, I think Colt can only get improved by having that association with CZ. At least you would hope. But again, like one of the things I'd like to see from CZ is maybe getting some newer, again, trying to get a little more modern with some of their firearms. Like the P01s are great guns, you know, and they went to the Omega series and then kind of stopped doing anything. You know, I wish they would do some other things, maybe, but I'm not sure what. That's the weird part. Bowling Curious has airsoft guns that cost more. Probably. Is that when you're playing Weekend Warrior, where you dress up in your camo, run around like Arnold with no shirt on? That's scary. So Bald Curious, as you guys can tell, he's one of those types who only has to have expensive guns. So unfortunately, the rest of you are just the peasantry here. I didn't know that. Yeah, I hope Colt doesn't ruin CZ USA, but like I said, time's going to tell, guys. We're going to find out. You know, this year is going to be interesting. You know, what do I hope comes out? I don't really know. I think if anything, I think what you're starting to see is you're starting to see more guns being manufactured towards competitive shooting. You know, like you got the Smith and Wesson, now you got this Canic that Bald and Curious is talking about. So, you know, we're going to see what that's about, you know. So I think that's probably going to be the new wave, you know, optic ready competition guns. Maybe that'll be the next thing. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. Bald is telling you all to kneel, by the way. All right, guys. So we're going to close this down. I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. This was a lot of fun. It's been a while. It definitely has. Hopefully, if I can figure out what the heck went wrong with this computer, we can do one of these next few weeks. But we'll see. You know, like I said, schedule's going to get busy. Lacrosse season's going to be starting here in about probably about 4 weeks. So that's going to take a lot of time from my schedule, but well worth it in my opinion. But as always, guys, Happy New Year. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for supporting the channel all these years. You know, I'm going to do my best to get some content out for you guys. And hopefully this year we'll have a good year for everybody. Everybody be healthy, happy, and have everything you need. Again, Lock Grips, 1776 at checkout. Also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Help with the algorithm, whatever that is. And yeah, I'm going to beg Patreon, guys. Listen, I never thought I'd do it, but I'm going to do it because it is going to help. As a matter of fact, I believe I made $40 on Patreon, and that bought some bullets. So any little bit helps. Again, I'm not going to beg, but I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great New Year's. I hope you have a great New Year's Eve. I hope you move out of New York if you're here, and we'll see you next year here at the channel. So as always, guys, stay safe. Have a great night. And as always, freedom is never free.